Alright everyone, it's time to take a look at another installment of John Stewart's journey. As always, you can hear an expanded discussion of this and every new issue on the Lantern Cast, so give that show a listen once you're done here. Green Lantern War Journal number 2, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Montos, colors by Alex Guimaras, and letters by Dave Sharp. The title of this issue is Off the Rails. John Stewart has a job interview in Metropolis at Steelworks, the company run by John Henry Irons, aka the superhero Steel. I actually really like this a lot. It's a pretty natural way to make the universe feel more connected, while also using this book to promote the Steelworks miniseries, which, by the way, was written by Michael Dorn. Lieutenant Commander Worf wrote a Steel comic. That's so weird, I love it. The two Johns bond over an engineering problem that's been plaguing one of Steelworks' most ambitious projects, and it goes well, with John Stewart thinking outside the box and suggesting a creative solution that nobody on their team had thought of yet. He gets the job and then heads home with his mother. The train ride home isn't quite as celebratory as John was hoping. John brought his mom along to see how she likes the city, because if this job works out, John will want her to move to Metropolis with him. But she doesn't want to move, and also doesn't want him to pass up on this great opportunity because of her. There's a moment here that hits in a few different ways. She tells John that he's spending too much time worrying about her, that she can take care of herself, which John knows is becoming less true every day as her mind continues to slip away. But she also scolds him for wasting his talents, for depriving the world of the things he can do, all because he's decided to focus on her instead. In this moment, she's talking about this new job, since John has no intention of moving to Metropolis without her, and she doesn't want to be responsible for holding him back from greatness. But it also speaks directly to John choosing not to actively use his powers in favor of living a mundane life. He's wasting his talents and is refusing to help the world, hell, the entire universe, in ways that only someone like him can. This job may be John's way of finally finding a new path forward, of doing work that he loves and cares about that doesn't require him to be anything more than just ordinary John Stewart. But to have that, it may mean that his relationship with his mother has to fundamentally change in a way that neither of them are ready for. Because there is no way that John believes she's in any condition to live by herself. And she isn't even aware that there's a problem since John's been able to smooth it all over as long as he's been there with her. This is almost likely heading towards an incredibly emotionally devastating conversation that's going to be gut-wrenching to read, but until then, John's just going to have to deal with one of the other results of him wasting his potential. Last issue, we met Lantern Varen, a new recruit who started sometime after John left the Green Lantern Corps behind, and their brief interaction was enough to make me very curious and concerned about the state of the Corps, and how it's being run now that it's operating under the United Planets. Well, Varen is back, and he's brought two other Lanterns with him in hopes that he'll actually be able to arrest John this time. Working with a group like this actually gives a lot of expository dialogue that begins to show us how political self-interest has already distorted the Green Lantern Corps into something it was never meant to be. Varen himself is born of a noble family, but because he's the middle child, he isn't automatically entitled to a high-ranking position. So he's basically serving in the Corps for a little while to get extra credit and make himself look good so he can pretend he's earned his eventual royal reward. The three of them end up in the Amazon rainforest because they're tracking hard light energy and assume it could only be coming from the ring that they still think John has. What they find is the crashed remnants of the space station from issue 1, and inside it, huddled on the floor, they find Jane, the astronaut who was transformed by the ring of the Revenant Queen. She kills the three lanterns in seconds, turning them into her radiant dead, and then sends them out to continue doing exactly what they came to Earth to do. They would hunt John Stewart, but now they do it in her name. I think it's kind of funny that more Lanterns are spending time on Earth now than before the quarantine started. Varen and his group, John, Hal and Sinestro over in the other book, that's 6 Lanterns on Earth at once. I can't remember the last time that happened outside of a crisis-level event. Also, speaking of Hal, this book tells us an important piece of information regarding the Hal Jordan book that's also ongoing right now. Hal's new homemade ring lost power when he tried to leave Earth, and at the time I wasn't sure if that was due to some kind of dampening field set up by the United Planets when they quarantined the sector. But Varen has traveled to Earth perfectly fine twice now and brought other lanterns with him the second time, and this issue confirms that they did it without permission. So we can say for certain that whatever's going on with Hal is specific to his weird new ring. If you're interested in any of that, I've got an entire playlist of issue reviews for the current 2023 Green Lantern series that I recommend checking out. The 3 zombified lanterns attack the train. John coats the entire train in his willpower, protecting it and its passengers from any further harm, and then engages the radiant dead lanterns outside. The fight is pretty one-sided, and maybe it's because he's overconfident, but John lets one of the zombies get in too close, and ends up getting stabbed with a blade made of the Revenant Queen's purple energy. Immediately, John's arm shows sign of infection. The radiant dead have succeeded in their mission. Soon, John Stewart will be one of them, and the greatest threat to the Revenant Queen will be gone. There's a particularly interesting bit of conversation that happens during this fight. The Radiant Dead version of Lantern Varen says that John possesses a weapon that the Revenant Queen desires above all else. John tells Varen again that he doesn't have a weapon, that he doesn't need a ring. And Varen says that the Revenant Queen doesn't need a ring either. And that's strange, because we saw the Revenant Queen use the power of a ring to travel to this universe, and then to claim Jane as her new host body. It's still very unclear what the Revenant Queen's deal is, but I expect things to start coming into focus once Lantern Shepherd finally makes his way to Earth and links up with John. Shepherd's version of the Green Lantern Corps has been fighting a war against the Radiant Dead for a very long time, so he should have some valuable information that'll help John and us make sense of this whole situation. So that's my take on Green Lantern War Journal number 2. Now I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think of John getting a job at Steelworks? How do you think his mom's life will change going forward? And what kind of nightmare do you think the Green Lantern Corps has become while we've been focusing exclusively on Earth? Tell me all about it in the comments section down below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because there is a lot of new Green Lantern content coming our way, and I would love for you to be part of the discussion. So until next time, let me just say thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan. We'll talk again soon.